All right, all right, all right. How's everyone doing out there today? Huh? We doing good? Can you hear me okay? I haven't done this one for a while. I feel like I'm out of streaming practice here for Filmora. We pull this music down a bit. Yeah, I'm using Streamlabs again too. It's given me some issues in the past, but I'm throwing a Hail Mary out there and make sure everything works. Can you guys see me okay? Can you hear me okay? Let me know in the chat if everything sounds and looks all right. And if we can, then we can move right ahead and start talking about the things we want to talk about in Filmora. LM Tech, how are you doing? Dogfather, how you doing, Alton? Good to see you, pal. Lots of echo. Do I have echo on my voice? No kidding. Let me do this. Is that better? That must have been a setting I had on for something else. Now there's no reverb, right? Oh, you know what that was? That was my sultry voice. Maybe I was going for this. This is my, Hey there. Today we're gonna do something a little different and play this one smooth. And by smooth, I mean, smooth. Or else I would have chosen another word other than smooth. Yeah, I've been playing around with different stuff. My entire setup is ripped apart. I have new computers I built. I've got new patch keys that I'm dropping in here for different things that we're doing later in the week. So there's a lot of things that are discombobulated. A lot of people have asked me, Daniel, can you show me your setup? Because people want to see the thing that I do here and how I have it set up with multiple systems. But it's in such disarray. I need to take an entire day, rip everything apart, rerun all the wiring, put it all back together, because it's just a horror show. I've got so many new pieces I've been buying and integrating that, as you can see, I don't even know what's turned on half the time. So listen, which microphone do I use? I can answer that very quickly. This is an Audio-Technica AT2020 XLR version. I run it through several different preamps depending on how I'm using it. But this particular one that you're hearing now runs through an ART voice channel that adds some compression, a little EQ, puts some enhancement on the top to limit it a bit. And then it runs through an Alesis USB mixer right into my system. So, you know, a lot of times I talk about microphones. People think the microphone is the answer, but a lot of times it's the mic pre you use with it. A lot of people buy the USB mics that plug right into your computer. Those are super handy, but they don't have the best microphone preamps. So I'm from a music background, so I like being able to control the preamp I use, which adds color and tone to your microphone sound. Good question. Can I play guitar? Yes, I can play guitar. I put a new one up here. I haven't pulled out my Telecaster in a while. Usually I have my custom Rickenbacker build, but this one's I pulled out the Tele. So listen, we have a questionnaire that's linked in the description below that you can add your questions into, anything you want to know about Filmora. I'm going to move very quickly and answer as many questions as I can, pulling up Filmora on the screen, showing you how I do certain things and trying to answer certain questions. Some I will be able to answer and some I can't. Sometimes I get questions and I don't have a good answer for you. So the ones I can answer, we will hit them and we will get answers for you nice and quickly. So feel free to use that questionnaire down in the description below of this live stream to drop your question in, because sometimes I see them in the chat, but it's very hard to keep up. So the questionnaire is your best bet. Okay, let me start here. I am going to find our questionnaire, and I'm going to pull it right up on screen. Let's see. I think I have that questionnaire. Is it here? Yeah, perfect. Hey, this actually kind of works today. The first question we have is from Miko Animated. Is there a limit to how many layers you can make? I'm planning to mass clone myself using green screen. That's really an excellent question. How many layers can you make? Hi, Arba. There you go. So there are a limit. I think the limit currently is 100 layers of video. It may be video mixed with audio. I've never come close to reaching that limit, so I've never hit it. But I believe it's 100 in Filmora9. If that's been updated, someone else let me know. But that was the last. That was the last limit I know. Jay Wall might be in the chat, and he would know. He would know as well. 100, I believe, is the limit. Next question. Let's go over to here and check out the next question we have. The next question is from Sakrishna's Melody. Is there any audio effects in Filmora like reverb, amplify, etc.? There are currently no audio effects built into Filmora 9. There are some built into Filmora Pro. And I've been trying to push the guys at Filmora to maybe use VST plugins, though it would be a license they'd have to get through Steinberg. It's my favorite thing. You can actually add any effects you want that are already pre-made elsewhere. I do have a video up. If you type into the search engine of my channel, this little search bar, audio effects, it'll pull up one where I showed how to create delay, things like that within Filmora. The only thing that you can do in terms of effects in Filmora, and let me pull this up. If you, full screen right here, if you were to grab an audio track and bring that down into your timeline, and if you left click on that, that will open up your advanced options in the upper left. Let me show you the upper left a little bit better. Up here, you do have the ability to change the pitch, so you can pitch shift it, which is kind of cool. A lot of times you use that for tuning a vocal, or if it's a melody, or you can use it for creating multiple tracks, like a high-pitched effect or a really deep demon voice. This is the pitch shift that you'd use. You also have the ability to add an EQ. So there's preset EQs here that you can add, or you can choose the custom at the bottom. And what that will do, you can customize it. Let me go to the center. That'll open up this screen where you can actually dial in your frequencies. Everything down here is your low frequencies. Everything here is your mids, and everything here is your highs. So you can dial in the EQ of it. So those are your basic options you have that are readily available in Filmora9 for you. But there are no specific effects. But keep an eye out. I'm going to push them for more. I'm hoping we actually start seeing some more effects in the future, because I think that would be awesome. I should mention that on my channel, I did a video that was covering the way I process audio. Let me just quickly see if I can find it for you on my channel. I use a program called Reaper, which is a digital audio workstation. It is an advanced workstation. It's fantastic. Currently, you can download that Reaper and get a free 90-day license. Let me go full screen over here. This is the video right here, this one audio training that you'll see on my channel. I showed how to use that and use free effects that come with that particular software, Reaper. So you can add reverb, pitch shift, compression, EQ, modulation. That's one of my favorites. I do most of my audio production outside of Filmora, get it to sound the way I want, and then bring it back in. Great question, though. Let me see what you got over here. Let me go back to questions. And another question we have from Nasser Krizu. How can I do motion tracking on Filmora9? Currently, Filmora9 does not have a motion tracking feature. Filmora Pro does. But you can manually motion track. I showed how to do that on my channel with the Thor hammers effect. I had lightning strike down, and I actually had to cut it frame by frame and move the lightning. That's the only way currently you can do it in Filmora, but a lot of people have been asking for that request. I should always point out that if you guys really want something that you're interested in getting from Filmora, open up Filmora. I'm hoping you can hear me okay. Is everything running okay? Yes. Open up Filmora, go to the Help tab in the upper left, and scroll down to the new feature request, and it will open up a page on the Filmora forum where you can request new features. And the reason that's important is if enough people ask for something, Filmora reads those and goes, this is one of our biggest requests. And they use that to start deciding what they might put into the next upgrade or the next version. So always be using the new feature request and get in there and say, hey, we'd love motion tracking. We'd love to have keyframing. We'd like to have some audio effects. And that's the fastest way you'll probably have a chance to get that done. Let me go back. Let me see what we got for questions. If I move quickly, I apologize. I'm trying to get as many questions answered as possible today. Let's see. Here's the actual questions. Next question is, channel name, none. Daniel, do you have plans for any new series regarding Filmora? Currently, the series I've been working on that's an actual series, I've been doing a Zach King series, which people have seemed to really like. People have always been asking me, can I do Zach King effects in Filmora? Zach is half magician and half editor, so his stuff is insane. But I've got one that I just finished figuring out how to do the trick, and I have to edit it up, and that should be out in the next couple of days. So you'll probably see more Zach King stuff. There's a couple other guys that I want to hit on that also have incredible editing techniques that I might start showing you how to edit like some of these other editors who are really prolific and do amazing things. And always, if you ever think of like someone who does like a great edit, don't be afraid to drop that in a comment and go, hey, can you show me how to edit like, this person, and drop a link. One thing I'll say about links is they end up in my spam folder, but I do look at them. And if they're a real link that someone's asking me a question, I approve it. If it's a link someone just trying to say, look at my stuff, I just toss it away. But don't be afraid to drop links and ask questions. I do my best to keep up. We're getting near 100,000 subscribers here. I'm very excited. It's hard to keep up with all the comments, but I do try to keep up with as many comments as possible. So please, the comments is the best place to ask me questions, and if I don't get to a question here on a live stream. Let's see. Next question we have from Dude Perfect. That's awesome. How do you stretch deform a video clip like when you want to make a face very fat or thin? I have gotten this question a lot. I haven't found a hack yet. So in Filmora9, there's not a direct ability to grab like a section of your face and stretch it. There are some fisheye lens effects and things that can distort areas. But I know exactly what you're asking. It's been like a meme thing that's gone around. I've seen it on TikTok. Guys like PewDiePie use it a lot, where they'll stretch out their face and make it look like their nose is really big or really distorted. I haven't found a good hack for that, but if I do, it is on my list. And if I can find a better way to do it, I'll definitely make a video about that, okay? Next question we have is from Creative Boy. What do you think about Pakistan? I love Pakistan. I also love India. I also love Nigeria. We have a very global audience, and I love all of you guys from every one of these countries. I have nothing but love. Mr. Nobody, what do you think about DaVinci Resolve? DaVinci Resolve is a great piece of software. I'm a big fan of DaVinci Resolve, especially considering they have a limited version that's free, but it's absolutely free. There's no watermark. It has a lot of features you can't use, but it has a lot of ones that you can. So you want to, if you don't have the resources to purchase something, DaVinci Resolve does have a bit of a system requirement to it. You don't want to ever download anything that your system isn't meeting or exceeding the minimum system requirements. But DaVinci Resolve has a great free version that you could download today and start editing content, and it's pretty powerful. And then you could always step up. I think it's $300 to buy the full license from DaVinci, so it's more expensive than Filmora9, which you can usually get on sale for maybe $50 for a lifetime license. But it's very good software. Let's see. Next question. Iggy, good to see you, pal. Mr. Nobody, what do you think about DaVinci Resolve? We just did that one. Yeah. Can you mask images in Filmora9 or Filmora Pro? Of course you can. I've made a few videos on this. If you put anything into your... Let me see if I can pull up Filmora here and show you. If you have a piece of footage in your timeline, let me just grab something, a piece of the stock video here. And if you put something down into your timeline... Let me get rid of this long piece of music. If you want to add a mask to that, what you want to do is go up to the Effects tab, and then under the Utility, right here it says Utility 9 in the upper left. Can you see this? If you scroll down under Effects, it says Utility 9. You'll see this mask feature. What you want to do is grab that, drag it down onto your, if I can actually click and drag, onto your footage, and that will apply a mask, as you can see in the upper right. And then if you want to control those masks, you just double left click on your footage in your timeline. It'll open up this menu here. And under the video tab at the bottom, you can see there's now a check mark next to the video effects here in the upper left. If you expand that menu, you'll now see you have fully controllable function of that mask in the shapes. You can even import a custom mask. I showed how to do that recently. And you can, let me see. You can also do things like invert your mask right now. Let's go full screen. Right now, the mask is a circle mask that's blocking everything on the outside. If you were to click this invert button right here, it will then mask out the middle and let everything else show through. You can also stack multiple masks. So you can keep bringing down masks onto one track and have multiple masks. I did that in my, have you guys seen my annoying orange? I turned myself into annoying orange because one shape wasn't enough. I needed to create a shape that was bigger than just a circle or something. So I started stacking shapes to mask out different areas. And you can do that. You can bring multiple ones down and they'll all show up into that upper left of the video effects where you can control each one, expand them, move them around, do things like that. Great question. 304 people in here. Man, I got to tell you, you guys are fantastic. I hope all you are staying safe out there, using your time that might be down. A lot of us have downtime to actually work with Filmora. improve some of your editing. And you've been great here. I've been getting a ton of questions from you. I love that you guys get excited about video editing because I get excited about it too. Let's get back to these questions. Let's see. Up in the questions we have, next question is from Navan Empire. Sir Daniel, I like that. I feel like I just got knighted by the queen here, or the king. Which is better, Filmora 9 or DaVinci Resolve? What's the latest version of Filmora 9? Thanks for this opportunity, sir. Thanks for the great question. Here's the thing. There's probably more options available in the paid version of DaVinci Resolve. There are. I don't try to ever hide that. But it's also more expensive. It's about $300 to buy that full software. It also requires a stronger system to run it. So a lot of people think if you could just download something and you go, oh, this keeps crashing, there's a problem with the software. It's not. It's that you're trying to run it on an older system that can't keep up. It uses a ton of resources to video edit, especially if you start stacking a lot of layers. So you really want to make sure that your system can compete. Which one do I think is better? I personally like Filmora 9. The reason I like Filmora 9, it's an easy learning curve. You can get through it really quickly and do everything you need to do. There's some things it can't do, and if I absolutely needed those things for my edits, I would use a different software. I'm a big believer in use the right tool for the job. If you're doing projects where you need things that Filmora 9 doesn't have, spend more money, buy a better computer, buy any more expensive software, and use that proper tool. But if you're someone who's just trying to do pretty straightforward edits and do some kind of fancy stuff, not too crazy, I use Filmora 9 for almost all of my edits, unless I'm using like Filmora Pro for a couple, but that's usually when I'm just doing Filmora Pro tutorials or something different like that. Yeah, you stick with the thing that works. I'm a very basic guy. I think less is more. I don't want to be encumbered by having to learn, algebra to be able to edit. I like to move quickly, and Filmora 9 lets me do that. Good question. Let's go back up to these questions here. And let's see. The next question I have, is that Paul Peck? Is that Paul Peck? Did I just see him somewhere in the chat? If I did, let me scroll up. I think I saw his name. Yeah, I did. Paul Peck. I got to say quickly, my pal Paul Peck Drywall, I'm just hit 100,000 subscribers. Congratulations, my man. That is a huge accomplishment. You know I've been a huge fan of yours. That silver play button is going to be looking really good on your wall. Do not spackle over it, whatever you do. Okay, let's keep that thing. Let's keep that untouched. But congrats, man. I love it. I love seeing people I know do really well. Path to Calvary. Yep, Calvary. In a screen, is there a small space between? In a screen, there's small space of green screen. How do I make it fit? The green screen is not square like one said, 90D, 50D. How do I use camera? I don't know that I understand this question, my friend. I'm trying to read it the best I can. If you're looking at trying to change the green screen size, you've already added it and you're trying to change it, you can create a custom mask. I showed how to do that in my recent video on, which one was it? It was the video on how to erase an object. So if you are on my video links tab, this one right here, I showed how to create custom masks. That would be a great way to make a custom mask if you needed one. Check out that video and it might give you some options. That one uses Affinity Photo, which is software you can download right now and get a 90-day fully functional free trial. And if you choose to keep using it after 3 months, the entire price right now is like $25 for a lifetime license. And it's every bit as good as Photoshop without that recurring fee. I love Affinity. I use it to make all my thumbnails. I use it to do all kinds of stuff. But you can use it free right now for 3 months, and it's good as Photoshop. Definitely go check that out if you're looking for a really great photo editing software to add to your repertoire. And it doesn't use a ton of resources. It even, I think, still runs on 32-bit OS. So it's a software that any one of you who has just an okay computer can grab now, download, use it, and you'll be surprised how powerful it is. All right, so check that out too. Let me see. Let me get back to these questions here. Next question we have is, Shrish, please tell me how I can download more effects. There's a few ways to download more effects. One of the ways you can do that is to go to Film Stocks. So if you were logged into your Film Stocks account, a lot of you know we had a contest about this recently. Let me see if I can find it for you. Filmstocks.com. If you are, this is Filmora now has all of their effects listed in their site called Film Stocks. so that you can search through film stocks. There's a bunch of stuff here that's free. These are all packs. There are some that are paid. So you can actually find a bunch of great stuff that will integrate directly into your Filmora software using film stocks. I also use another one I love is a Production Crate. If you haven't been to productioncrate.com, same thing. They have free assets and they have paid assets. I recently did a video on there where you can find that stuff. If you went to my library here, it's this video right here called Top 3 Free Motion Graphics. I showed how to get free music, free assets, free 3D style text or heavier text that you want to do more than what Filmora offers that you can still use in Filmora. Whenever I find something free, I always try to bring that to you first. If there's a paid option, I try to find you the best paid option at the cheapest price. So always know that when I do try to post stuff up that I think that you might want to try, I usually try to not hit you guys with stuff that's going to break the bank. I think everyone's got a budget, and I know that you guys have a budget, and I try to keep you on it. So always keep an eye out for stuff on my channel that says, like free motion graphics or free something. I always try to show you better way, and I give away a lot of stuff for free. You guys know that. I'll make something and give it to you, like free subscribe buttons and click the bell buttons and end screens, just because sometimes they're hard to make, and I'd rather have you guys have them. Let's see. Back to some of these questions. Let's see. Next question we have is Lovelypedia. Daniel, can I make 2D animation with Filmora? If so, let me know how. 2D animation, I think you're probably talking about, can you do kind of a, like a cartoon? Filmora really isn't built for doing animation. You can assemble animation, meaning if you've drawn all the frames, you can bring them in and put them together. But if you're planning on opening up Filmora to use it as just to create cartoons like the drawer in Filmora, it's really, really hard. It's not built for that. Something like Toon Boom Harmony is a program software that's designed specifically for creating cartoons. People like the animators from Family Guy use that, and it's accessible. It's not extremely expensive, but it does cost. But it's designed to create those frames and draw them and put them together. But I did do a video. I should mention I did do one video on how to do animation. And that was this one right here, the animation effect. So if you search my channel for Filmora animation effect, I did show how I animated myself, and I turned myself into a cartoon, which was kind of fun. It worked. I turned myself into a cartoon, but it was effort. I had to make about 190 individual frames and then put them together. Animation is tough work. Tough work. Let's see, how we doing here? 297 likes, 330 people watching. Don't be afraid to hit that like button while you're here. I always like the like button. Lets me know that you enjoyed what we're doing here. Let's see. Matthew Brown asked me, Daniel, is it possible in the chat to make our own packages like the Filmora packages? If you mean effects packs, no. You can't currently create something that will integrate and show up in the effects tab or in the transitions tabs, Matthew. These are things you can find things like transitions in Production Crate that you can drag down onto your timeline and stick it above your footage. I did one with a wave I got from Production Crate. The wave kind of came up and then it went down, and all I had to do was when it peaked, I switched to the new footage, so it looked like a wave came up, went down, and then it introduced my new piece. So there are ways to create and bring in different elements, but they will always have to be placed in your timeline. We can't currently have them show up like in our effects tab, and we can't break the software and get into it and say we're going to recode so it accepts ours currently. But you can add custom LUTs, and you can add custom animations. Those are things that will integrate into the features. Hope that answered your question. Let me look at the form again here. Boom. Next question is Eunice Ali. What's the best export settings for Filmora 9? I covered this recently. There are no best export settings. Me personally, when I am exporting a project, let me pull up this. Let me go full screen. If I have something that I'm working on, I just have a sample piece of footage here. If I were to export this, the first thing I make sure I do is that I want my footage, my project, to match the footage. So if I'm in the upper left here, if this is the piece of footage I'm using, I'll right click on it and look at the properties, and it will tell me, let me give you the center. It will tell me that this piece of footage was 1920 by 1080. It's full HD. It was filmed at 25 frames per second, but a really low bit rate. I would never film at this low a bit rate. That's only 1400. I'd film at about 55,000 kbps. So the first thing I do is I check what the footage is filmed at. And then once I know that, I'll go up in the upper left, I'll go down to project settings, and then I will make sure that my project settings are set for full HD, the same 25 frames per second, so that I know my project is in line and those two add up together. And then when I go to export, what I'll do is, I'm not logged in right here. Hold on a second. Let me get myself, I got to log in from this computer here. Sometimes I forget I have so many computers running. And I can show you this. All right. Log in on this device. Okay. Screen capture. So if I were to exit, let me export this. If I were to say I want to export this, when I go and I click on the export button, you'll see that this window opens up, and these are your... I don't upload directly to YouTube. I don't think you should. I think you should export locally into your computer, and then, after you've checked your footage, make sure it's right, then upload it to YouTube. So my settings, I would do this. I would say, okay, I want 1080. That's what it's in. I want 25 frames per second is what it's filmed in. But I might raise the bit rate of the export. Another trick you can do is if you export at Ultra HD or 4K, like 3840 by 2160, it will actually export it as a 4K file, and when you upload it to YouTube, YouTube will recognize it as a larger file, even though it's not filmed in 4K, but it'll see it as an export in 4K, and it will allow more bandwidth, which can make your 1080 footage look better than someone else's, because it will assume it's 4K and allow more bandwidth on the platform. It'll even give it a little 4K denotation there, even though it was only exported in 4K. It wasn't filmed in it. Sorry, my question was not Filmora9 related. Oh, Stacy, I didn't even see your question yet, but that's all right. So I hope that answered your question. Best export setting is literally use what works. Like, you know, sometimes if your computer's older and slower and you're trying to export with these super high resolutions, it can be tricky. It can bog down your computer, but sometimes you need to do that because you want super high resolution. So the right export setting is something that looks crisp, clear, works for you. So when you watch it on your computer after exporting locally, take a look and say, does that look good to me? Does that sound good? Because you'll always have a little degradation, but you want it because Filmora compresses your video a little bit, and YouTube absolutely compresses your videos when you upload them. So just take a look and make sure it looks right. And if it looks right and feels right, their settings are good. If it's looking a little grainy or a little weak, increase the bit rate, increase the resolution of the stuff that you're filming, and make sure it goes out at a higher, like a full HD, so that it'll look crisp. Make sense? Let's see. Let me get back to some more questions here. Right here. Let's see. Question I have is from Dark Warden MB. Can we make a Girl Like You song effect in Filmora? Girl Like You. Someone has to clue me in here. I know the Smithereens used to have a song, Girl Like You. I think Maroon 5 had a song called Girls Like You. I can't pull it up. If I tried to find it, I would get a copyright strike. I don't know that in specific. Do me a favor, Dark Warden MB. Ask me that question in one of the comments of either this video after it's reposted or another one, and post a link to the video that you're talking about. That way I can pull it up and I can answer your question better, okay? Let's see. Let's get to another question here. Question is number 15. Michael Studio Films. How do you color correct videos in Filmora9 besides the preset LUTs? That's really pretty easy, actually. If you, let me pull up Filmora here in my other computer. I have so many screens going today. If you pull up your Filmora project, let me get full screen. If you have a piece of video that you've now brought into your timeline, okay, if you want to color correct that, what you want to do is double left click on it in your timeline. That opens up some of the other options for that in the upper left. This will give you other options to, you know, expand upon how you're going to define the compositing, the chroma key, anything like that. If you want to do color correction, click on the color tab and see here where it says advanced. Your basic settings are here. You can control LUTs, tone, saturation, the basics. But if you click on the advanced option, that'll open up a window here. Let me just turn off the, I want to turn off this mask feature. Let me double click on that under the video tab, scroll down. Let me turn off the mask feature. There, it is turned off. Let's get back to the center. Let's look at the color of this and open up the advanced settings. Here are your color correction areas. What you want to do is, there's some preset stuff here. What you want to do is up in the upper left, click on adjust. And now you have a ton of options. You've got a histogram to show you what's stronger, what's weaker. You can see the greens are a little bit ahead. You can control the white balance from here. You can totally change the white balance of this one. You can change the tinting of it, more green to more red. You can also add 3D LUTs at this point. You can get into the color, which is the exposure, the brightness, the contrast. You can bring up the vibrance. You can remove the vibrance. You can bring up the color saturation. You can go down into the light settings and you can control the highlights of this footage. The shadows, make them stronger or weaker. You can bring up the whites. You can bring up and down the blacks. You can also do the HSL, which is the individual light settings. So you can control just the red, just the oranges, just the yellows, just the greens, and you can change like the hue of the green. So you really have a lot of independent control. You can even add a vignette at the end here. So that's where you do all your color correction. Get into that advanced option by clicking on it, finding in the upper left, clicking advanced, and you can do all kinds of color correction. I do have a color correction video on my channel that will walk you through. It was a live stream where I went into a little more depth about that. But yeah, the one thing I love about Filmora 9, it's actually got a really good color correction feature where you can actually dial the color in pretty well. So great question, great question. Let me get back up here. Next question is, boom. Question is, the Epic Desk asked, my computer froze during editing when I restarted it. When restarting, it asked me if I wanted to use a backup file that had been created. I said yes, but it wouldn't load. It said was not compatible. I tried again this time on using, and it loaded perfect. But I had lost all the current work and had been... It sounds like you hit a glitch in there. That happens sometimes. Typically, what happens is if it does load, you can preset how often it backs up. I think Filmora defaults to an automatic backup every 5 minutes. So if you were to go up into your upper left under File, it's under, I believe, Preferences, under the, let me go to the center. Under the Save tab, you'll see here it says, back up my project every 5 minutes. So there's your default. You can do every minute, every 10, every 20. I wouldn't go any less than 5 because if you have a shutdown, it will make sure that every 5 minutes, even if you have your power outage, in the last 5 minutes, it will have saved whatever you did to that point. Make sure you check your browse. These tell you where the folders are that you want things saved to, the project and the files and the project location. If you have them set somewhere where Wondershare cannot gain access to them afterwards upon rebooting, it can be problematic. So make sure you're having them saved to somewhere that Filmora can open them back up. A lot of times I'll choose custom areas to put them myself, so I know where they're being saved, and I know that that Filmora can grab them easily. Next question. So many questions today. You guys are awesome with the questions. Let's see. Icy Alex. Hi, I was wondering how to make animation in Filmora 9. We just covered that. Tria, let's play. Hey, Daniel, I was wondering if you can make a super fast speed animation like Sonic or the Flash movie. That's on my list. I've been asked a million times, can you do either a Quicksilver, the superhero Quicksilver, or Flash, or can you do one like any of the guys who run really quick, right? Can you do that? It is on my list. I really need a second person for that. I was hoping to enlist my son. It's very advanced, and it requires multiple hands on deck to do it the way I want to do it. So you're going to find that it's going to take me a while to get to it. I have a list of videos to make because I get requests. I get stuff that I have to make for Filmora because I'm the brand ambassador. I have stuff that I want to get out there. I have a big one. I just built a brand new PC. I want to show everybody how I built the PC, and I've got 6 hours of footage I've got to condense down into 5 to 7 minutes. So there's a lot on my plate, but I promise that one's one I'm going to get to. I haven't forgot about that question. Emily Owo, Emily Zero Woe. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa. That's where I should have had the reverb. Emily, oh, whoa. Can you tune audio in Filmora? I just showed that a second ago. Yes, you can pitch shift it. If you left click on the audio in the timeline, in the upper left is pitch shift, you can tune it a bit. And I did that recently, not that recently. You guys saw the one I did audio effects. I actually did 3 versions of myself, and I imitated Freddie Mercury, and I sang like the opening line to like Bohemian Rhapsody by singing the lines and then pitch shifting them. So they were like 3 steps up, 5 steps up. So you can tune yourself. Let's see over here. Next question. Zenix45. Hi, Daniel. Can you make a slide transition in Filmora 9? You can't make one, but there is one available. So if you had a piece of footage in your timeline that was split, and you went up to the transitions tab, you can type right in here too. If you type the word slide, you'll see that here's erase slide, different types of slide that you can bring down and drop it right between the split, and it will do that slide in between those 2 pieces of footage. It's kind of a erase slide. Can you make your own? You know, you could probably manually keyframe, but I don't know why you would. I think some of the built-in... One of the things I love about Filmora, it has a lot of built-in effects that look like Sam Colder effects, that look like some of these great transitions that you've seen. They do a really good job of making a lot of available transitions. And in the film stocks, film packs, a lot of the ones you get there add extra transitions, so you even get more. So take a look through the library. Use that search feature again in the upper left. If you're looking for something, go into your transitions or effects tabs. Make sure you're clicking on the top included one, and then type in what you're looking for here. What I will say, if you're looking for something else, make sure you take the word out of your search bar or you'll get nothing because it's still looking for the same search. So make sure you back that out up here if you are doing another search. But you can look at the amazing array of, there's just so many, just hundreds of really cool transitions in here that there's usually something you can find that'll do what you need it to do. Or at least in my experience. There's more options than I can possibly use. Let me look at the next question. I've got Magenra Resanctor. I'm sorry for butchering your name. How can I do the wobble effect in Filmora 9? I do not know what the wobble effect is. Some of these times, I got to tell you, I'm old. A lot of people ask me stuff that they've seen on TikTok, and I'm like, I have to go try to find it. I'll look up what the wobble effect is. I'm guessing it's some kind of like a vibrato shake effect. Feel free to ask me that question in the comment section of any video or this one when it reposts, and post a link. When you post a link, do me a favor, guys. If you can post a time-assigned link, as I get bigger, it's really hard for me. If someone says, hey, can you do this effect, and you give me a 7-minute video, I don't have the time to go through the videos. I figured out the other day, if I only answered 100 questions a day, which I do way more than that, and I spent 5 minutes with each one, it would take me over 8 hours a day just to answer those questions. So I'm literally running out of time, and I love talking to everybody. So if you have something you want to link, one of the cool things you can do, if you find a video, if you pull up a video like this, especially if you're in desktop, and let's say it's right here, you want to know something right at this spot, right at the timeline, right click and choose copy URL at the current time. See what that says that? Copy URL at the current time. Click that. Then you can come back to me, post that in the comment, and it'll actually show me the exact minute that you're saying, hey, Daniel, can we pull this off? And I can just click the link, and it takes me right to the thing that you're asking about. So I know it's asking a lot, but if you have a really good question that you really want answered, do that. Give me the time-aligned link, and it really helps me to answer those questions, because a lot of times I'll get sent a 7-minute video and go, I don't have time to look through this. I would love to, but I don't. So you help me, I'll help you. Deal? I appreciate it. I know I'm asking a lot. Let me go back to the questions. Next question from Zenex. Hi, Daniel. I have a question. Can you make split cut transition in Filmora 9? I don't know if I know that term, split cut transition. There is a split edit, which usually refers more to it's a J cut or an L cut. I've covered that a while ago on my channel, but it's something I should get back to. It's one of my favorite edits in the world. If you have, let me get rid of all this stuff in my timeline, and let me find a piece of footage from somewhere. What is this? If I have a... Oh, that one won't work. Hold on. Let me take that out of there. That's something new I'm working on. That's my new Zach King edit. I can't show you that one. I can't show you that yet. Let's say we were doing... let me pull this out. Let me find... I just need to find a piece of video to show you what I'm talking about. There's a bounce. All right, perfect. Let me bring this down. If there's something I'm working on... and I bring it into my timeline, and it has, your piece of footage. Now, this could be anything, right? This is a screen capture for me, but for you, it may have been filming yourself. If you have something that you like, all right, I only need, a lot of times I'll do this. I'll film myself, and I'll have a whole linear thing, and there's pieces I'm taking out, and I cut out because I don't need them. I'll go back in and say, let's just edit the best parts and put them all together. So by the time I'm done, my footage is cut all up in pieces like this, right? So I have all these little independent cuts where I said, that's a good part, and I've removed other sections. Well, there's a thing that you can do on a split edit, which is sometimes I want, like the video I want to split here, but I don't necessarily want the audio to be split like that. So often I'll detach the audio like this, and then I'll stretch out the audio here so that the audio runs into the next track. And then this is linear, but if these were two completely different pieces of footage, and what I'll do is I'll remove do the same thing here. I'll detach the audio from the second piece, and I'll pull that back and have, whoops, I got both selected right now. Let's not do that. I'll pull back so the second audio starts later on. I just made a mistake because I had the auto ripple on. Let me turn that off. Now it'll do it. So now I can pull it back. So I had what happened here was I had a first piece of footage. I ran the audio longer, started the second footage, and then started the audio from the second footage later, which seems like, why would you do that? But a lot of times it's things like, I'll be talking to you and say, in the upper left of Filmora, you can find, and as I'm talking, I'll switch to the screen of me going to the upper left in Filmora. But I want the audio from me just talking to keep going over it, right? So I'll stretch it out farther and put that into that scene. So a lot of times using that, they call that an L cut because the video stops here, but then the audio kept going longer, so it makes the shape of an L. Sometimes I'll start the audio from the next clip before I get into it, and I'll pull it back, and that's a J cut because it's shaped like a J. I hope that was what you were looking for. Those are the tricky edits, but they're a blast. And it's also good if you guys have ever run into a situation where you crop some of your. Have you done this? Like you've edited, and some of your audio has like a pop, like right where you clipped your footage, your audio like pops too much, like you can hear the slice. There's a way to fix that, and let me undo some of the things I just did here. Let me get up to it. I got so many screens. Let me go here, here, here. If you ever have something like this, right? And you're like, I split it right here, but I can hear this pop. Detach your audio, put them in separate tracks, and this is a really easy way to get around this. Stretch it out in your timeline, go a little farther with one, and go back and just so they overlap here, and then just grab the fade in on one and fade out on the other. So that what it does is creates, this one slowly fades out, it goes a little longer, and this one slowly fades in. And what that'll do is it can eliminate that pop because it's not a harsh cut in your audio, and it crossfades the two pieces of audio. Really, really easy way. I get that question a lot. Like I slice my footage and I can hear these pops or noises. Just cross them a little bit and put crossfades onto them. Really easy way to get your audio to smoothly transition into each other. I do that a lot, even with different pieces of footage. I'll be talking about something, and then I got like a piece of footage of me riding off on my Harley. I'm still talking, but I want to hear the Harley Davidson engine, running into the scene, so I'll start fading it in. There's always neat little tricks that you can do that you don't have to have super advanced software to make some really cool transitions and effects. Let me see. Let me get back to the questions. Sorry, didn't mean to get on a tangent about my motorcycle. I haven't been on it yet this year. It's sitting in my garage waiting to come get tuned up and go back on the road. Let's see. Next question. Next question is Haynes the Sock. What a great channel name. Hey, Daniel, my name is Zoic. Zoic, and I've been a fan of yours for a while, and I was wondering if it was possible to record your own music like recording instruments and mixing it. Do you mean in Filmora? You could, but the problem would be the playback of it. There's a thing called latency, so that if you record one track, and then you want to listen back and add another track on top of that, you need software that creates latency so that you're playing back in time, right? Otherwise, you'll be playing, but then it'll be out of sync. That's why audio software, I use Reaper. Please check out Reaper. That does that automatically syncs and creates the latency. So you can do that and you can overdub. You could do it in Filmora, but what you might find is as you're playing along, you go back and you play your two tracks together, and you'll find that they're out of sync. So you'd have to grab that audio track and bring it back into sync. So yes, you could, but you'd have to create some sort of spot, maybe maybe a clap or some kind of visual, a count in of some kind that would be on each track that you would know, you could reference and line up. Interesting question, though. I've never tried something like that in Filmora. Next question. Timovania, can we do this? I can't pull up a link because if it's something that I don't have permission to show, then I can't show it. I'll get a copyright strike. Let's see. Pip 3N, which is probably like ban or something, right? I'm not reading this right. I don't know how to use this text right. Can you show us how to fit a video on a moving green screen with synchronized movement? I mean, the green screen object moves, the video follows the direction in smooth ways. That is a big question. A lot of these questions, and I don't know if I'm going to answer this properly, but I'm going to do my best. A lot of times people are saying, I want to take this thing and I want it to move across my screen and control it, whether it's a green screen element or whether it's a mask. This comes down to motion tracking, which intelligent masking and motion tracking, or keyframing, the ability to keyframe the motion. Those three things do not currently exist in Filmora 9, so it makes it really difficult to do it. So you'd have to do all those motions manually, and it's slow, and it's a bit painstaking. Just looking at the chat, Ratty Star, can you add Reaper as a plugin for OBS Studio? You cannot add, not that I'm aware of, add Reaper. You might be able to process through it. It's a good question. I don't want to say no, Ratty Star. You can add, let's see, Streamlabs now allows you to add VST plugins, but the control is terrible. It doesn't save your presets. You can add the VST, the same plugins that you would use in Reaper. Look into Streamlabs allows you to do it. I don't know if OBS does, but Streamlabs OBS does. Hope that answered that random question from the chat. Next question. Barry Video YT. There are many transitions in a video. You want to go back and review them. Double-clicking on the transition gives you properties, but it doesn't tell you what transition it was to find out which transition was used. Thanks, Daniel. How do I do it? Good question. I'm not sure. I usually don't have a problem knowing. Let me try opening. Let me do this. I'm going to try opening up a previous project of mine and just see if it does what you're saying. Because I don't know that I've ever had that issue. Let me go full screen. Here's just a random project that I had. Let me get over here. It's missing some files because they're not loaded in this computer. You're saying you have no idea to know if you open up a project and click on the transition, what the transition is. Oh, I see. You know what? I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. It doesn't actually say the transition. Good question. I've never really run into that, usually because I know what that's a great question. You're saying it doesn't readily tell you. If someone else knows the answer to that, you're right, it just says transition, and it doesn't tell us the transition. Usually I know what the transition is by looking at it. It's a great question. Let me, I wish I had a better answer. As far as I know, I don't know. I don't have a great answer. Because it doesn't show you the name of the transition. That's a killer question. I'll find out a better answer if there is one. Maybe I'm missing something. If anyone else knows, feel free to scream that out in the chat. If someone knows a quick way, opening a project back up to click and know immediately which transition that is that you've used. I usually know by looking at them because I only use a few. But I don't know how to do that exact thing you just said. Great question. If I find a better answer, I'll make sure I'll let you guys know about it. Let me see. Over here, I am going to... Next question. Norella Sankar. A question for you. Which one is good, Filmora or Premiere Pro? This is that old question I get asked a lot. Listen, here's the deal. Which one's better? You know, it depends what you define by better. If better to you is I want to spend a lot more money, not be able to own the software, I want to spend $250 every year, have to buy a computer that's 3 times more powerful than the one I have now, and actually have to spend all that time building a better computer, pay more money for a software that I can only rent, I can't own, and I'm going to have a much steeper learning curve. Premiere Pro is for you. It's got more options. It can do more. That's a great software. But people think like, oh, it's just a click this or click this. Filmora costs, like I said, it's $50, $60, you know, on any given day with a discount code, which are readily available. It runs on an easier, a slower computer than these. I mean, still requires system, you know, a decent system, but not like Premiere Pro. And Premiere Pro is a recurring fee. The thing I don't like about Premiere Pro is it's $249 a year just for Premiere Pro. And if I decide to use it for 20 years, I'm like, I got to pay $4,000 to use this for the next 20 years. I don't want to spend that money. If I needed it, I'll move to it. But I'm a fan of get in there, get it done. Unless there's something specifically you need, like you're doing something that Filmora9 just can't handle, then get Adobe. And if you're using Adobe and you're like, I'm spending a lot of money and I'm doing fairly straightforward editing things that I'm seeing Daniel do in Filmora9, lose Adobe and come over to Filmora9. Won't be as hard on your computer. It'll save you a lot of money in your wallet that you can spend on things like better mics, better cameras, better lighting, all kinds of things like that. That's how I look at it. I try to budget the money. I buy what I need. There's an old thing that I've said, and I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent here. Don't buy a race car when you need a delivery truck. And don't buy a delivery truck when you need a race car. If the goal of the day is you need to move a couch from one house to another, then owning the fastest car in the world won't do you anything if you can't put a couch into it. So if you need to race one place to another, then don't get a delivery truck because it's not going to get it done. So figure out what you need for your edits, what you need for your projects, and then test out some of the softwares. They have usually free trial versions. Filmora has one that has a watermark that you can, smashing my face into my mic, that you can test out and you can see what it's like and decide if it's right for you. That's the best advice I can give you. Use the right tool for the job. Whatever it is your job you're doing, get the tool that makes your life easiest. And if it's Filmora9, perfect. If it's not, try Filmora Pro or try DaVinci or try Adobe. They're all good too. They all make great software. HitFilm, that's another great software too. Let me go back over here. Try to get through some of these questions. There's a lot of them. MLU392. How do you pan and zoom? Make it stay there for a while. I've showed this trick before. This is I have a video on this, but I'll show you real quick because it's a really simple maneuver. Let me go back to new project. Let's get rid of this one. I don't want to change this one. Nope. If you, let me see, full screen. If you take a piece of footage, media, let's go with a sample video, and you bring it down into your timeline. It's not a very long one. Do we have a longer one here? This one here, that's a little longer. And you want to zoom in and then hang there. The way you would do that is figure out where you want to zoom. Say, I want to zoom right along this part here, and then when I get to there, I want to zoom in and hang. What you want to do is apply the zoom that you want to your entire footage. So right-click on it, click on Crop and Zoom, and then in your Crop and Zoom, click on Pan and Zoom right here, and you'll have two windows, right? You've got the start window, that's the big one that's green. And if you click in the middle, I've now highlighted the end screen. So that's telling us we're going to move from this full screen all the way down to this spot over the course of this video length to create this zoom in. So let's say you wanted to zoom in, I don't know, maybe you wanted to zoom out to the water. You wanted to zoom away from the land, you know, I don't know, you take your pick what you want to do here. So let's shrink that down. Let's say something like this. Let's say we want to get out to the water. So I say, okay, right? Well, now you say, well, now you've got that, Daniel, I understand that. Now you've got that entire zoom happening over the course of this entire footage, but I want to get to a spot and hang there. Well, then do this. Just find the spot on your timeline where you want to hang, stop the playhead there, split your footage, and then right-click on the second half where you want it to hang, choose Crop and Zoom again, and see the end element here? Click on that one. You want to reverse these. There's a little arrow down here. See these two like it's a box? Looks like a rectangle. Reverse them so now this one is the start, the end screen is the start, and the big screen is the ending. But we're not going to use that. All we're doing is we're letting it know which one is the start. If you assign the end window to now be the start and then go back over to crop, it'll hang there as a crop, and just say okay. And what happens is when it gets here, it'll just stay. All right. So if I ran this whole piece of footage again, you'll see it zoom in, it hits that spot, and then it stays there. Let me do that full screen because I was kind of centered in. Can you see what happened there? Zooms in, hits that split, boom, it's going to hang there. That's the fastest way to do it. Just apply that crop and zoom wherever you want it to hang, split the footage there, reverse the window so that the end screen becomes the start in your crop and zoom tool, and then switch over to crop, and it'll just say, okay, you just want to crop, you don't want to do the whole effect. That's the easiest way to do it. Filmora or Sony Vegas? Sony Vegas is good. I like Sony Vegas. Nothing against it. Whichever. I just had a whole speech on this. Whichever one you like. Expendables compilation. Whichever one works for you. Try them out. Test them out. Find the one you like. Sony Vegas is pretty good too. So is Final Cut Pro. But Final Cut Pro is more for Mac users. So make sure you pick something that works for your system. Also look into, hey, we have a new channel member. That's awesome. Debbie Fitzwater, thank you for joining. That's something I should mention. I do have a channel memberships program. If you look at this video right now, this live stream, if there's a join button down below, that lets you know that my channel membership is available in your region. It costs $4.99 a month. You can quit at any time. We have all kinds of content just for members only. That group is really specifically designed to help people grow channels, though we do talk more about Filmora. It has its own private Facebook group. So definitely make sure if you become a member, you will see you'll be able to join. You'll see all the options there in the membership. One of them is joining our Facebook group. Make sure that you come to the Facebook group and join, because I talk to the group every day of the week. We talk about growth strategies. I've got 2 channels in there recently that were featured on the front page of trending of YouTube as creators on the rise. We just kill it in there. The guys in that group are great. Everybody's been crushing it and growing their channels really quickly using all the same techniques that I teach in my channel consultations that I do. So definitely check that out. Thank you for becoming a member. I know I just got on a tangent there. Let's see. Let me get back over here and let's look at some of the questions. Right here. Next question is Parth Kaushik. How much you know about Filmora? A little bit. I know a little bit. I try to tell people I'm not a Filmora expert. I never claim to be. The things that I've learned, I pass along. If I found a way to do something that I see other people are trying to figure out and haven't figured it out yet, I'll make a video on it. But I learn from the community all the time. There are people teaching me things all the time. Love from India, right back at you. Watch Direct. Love from the New England Seacoast. I really try to. My whole channel is really devoted to getting people to think about Filmora in a different way, think outside the box, do things that aren't necessarily obvious that you've seen from every other creator. I'm always trying to figure out ways to reapproach editing and make you think more about the content and less about pushing a single effect and putting it on there and calling it a day. I like discovering things and doing things differently. I hope you guys like that. A lot of you guys seem to like when we think outside the box. Let's see. Let me get back over here quickly. We got questions. I'm going to try to get through these. This is from Drought Resit. Hey, Daniel, please subscribe to my channel. Nope. Sorry. Please subscribe again. Nope. There's your shout out, though. Spondin Mukherjee. What will be the time in India? Oh, you're asking for the stream? I don't know. I think you guys are like 12 hours ahead. That's tricky. I try to time these things as best I can. I think you guys are usually, someone tell me, India, anyone from India, what is the time zone right there now? You guys 12 hours ahead? Right here, it's currently 12:58. Anyone from India, tell me what time it is out there, just to get an idea of what time zones you guys, or anybody, yell out your time zones, drop them in the chat. I like to know what time it is for you guys, because I do these midday because I think that usually reaches a lot of people. They're not like, I've done ones later in the day and it's like 4 in the morning. 10:30 p.m. in India. Thank you very much, Epsilon Nut. Yeah. So you guys are, I guess, 9.5 hours ahead of me. I've got to do the math there. 10:28. All right. So a little late. That's cool. Hold on. My camera's trying to tell me things. That's cool. If I can do these earlier, I try to do these in a way that everyone is not up super late. but I sometimes I fail at that. But I do try to give enough notice and put them on time. And I appreciate you guys all hanging around. 313 of you in here right now. I can't tell you how happy I'm to see so many of you creators. 5 o'clock somewhere. Sure is, Paul. Get the margaritas. And then, let's see, what do we got here? In Belize, it's 11 a.m. Nice. Oh, man, time zones all over the place. That's awesome. We have such a global community here. We've got people from the U.S., we've got people from Canada, people from Great Britain, people from Australia, people from India, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria, Russia. We've got so many different members that I try to do my best to not make it unreasonable for anybody. But I appreciate all of you guys hanging out. It's midnight there right now from Maru. Hey, I'm sorry. I try to get in as quickly as I can. And hit as many questions before you fall asleep on me. I know it's late for some of you. So let's do some more questions. Let's see. From Sarah Viabros. How do you do Black Panther suit-up effect? Some of these things, I will say to you, I get a lot of questions like, hey, can you teach me how to do the Iron Man suit-up effect? Can you do the, the Black Panther suit-up effect? Some of these are multi-million-dollar effects that are difficult to recreate. If I ever find ways to do things, I will, but especially things like Iron Man with pieces flying at you, it's just not, if that's the kind of thing that you really want to build, you definitely should be looking at some of the more advanced, expensive software. That's where I tell people, go look at Adobe Premiere Pro, go look at After Effects. Those things are expensive and require high-end computers for a reason, because you can do super high-end special effects with them. That there's some things you can do with Filmora 9, but it's not built for that. So think about looking at one of the other softwares. Filmora Pro has more features than Filmora 9, and you can get to the next level because of the motion tracking and stuff. But those, if you're trying to recreate million-dollar effects, you're better off finding the right tool for the right job. That's my best advice there. Let me go back over here. Next question. Alpha Creator says, hey, Daniel, could you show us your family? Where do you live? No. I live on the New England seacoast. I don't make any qualms about that, but I don't usually talk about which town I'm in and stuff because I get some weird stuff sent to me and people contacting me, and I love most of you, but that 0.1% can get a little crazy. But I'm right on the New England seacoast in New England, right on the right off the ocean. So that's where I live. Up north, it's warm summers and snowy winters, and that kind of thing. Love it up here. I've been here my whole life. So I'm about, I'm north of Boston. I'm probably, a half hour or so north of Boston. I grew up in all this area. So I love it here. Let's see. Marks asks me, is it possible to take a snapshot in Filmora and save it into your gallery? Yes, it is. Here's something that I want to make sure that I make clear to you guys. When you take a snapshot, let me show this full screen. If you are working with something in your timeline, you have to make sure that something is placed in your timeline and you want to take a snapshot of it. What you want to do is in the upper right, let me go to the upper right, just below your preview window, see this little camera icon right here? If you click on that, it will take a snapshot, okay? Now, where that snapshot will appear is in the upper left. You'll see it listed in your import window, snapshot 10. So it'll label it. I've taken 9 other snapshots on this computer recently, so it's set for 10. Now, what you want to understand is there's a preset place where Filmora saves these. You don't need to save them again. And if you click on File and then go down to Preferences and then go over to this Save tab, the Folders tab, here's where everything, let me go center. Here's where everything gets saved. Here's where your temporary files get saved. Here's where your recorded files get saved. Here's where your recorded audio gets saved, your uploaded files, and your snapshot files. You can choose a different spot. It all does sort of preset my documents areas. But if you do like me, I tend to, it'll also allow you to show where you're going to save your effects packs too. With me, I separate, whenever I start a new project, I create a file folder named that name of that video. And in that folder, I'll have a separate folder for audio, video, and images. So anything like that, I'll always start my project, go into the File, Preferences, folders, and I'll set that particular folder for any snapshots I do during that project will end up in that project file. So they're not stuck somewhere that I might accidentally erase them later or hard to find. And if I need them for like a thumbnail, you can take a snapshot of something in your video and go, oh, I want to use this for a thumbnail. I'm going to work it up. Let me take a snapshot and then I'll layer stuff over it. That way it's right inside of the images file of that project. So that's the best way to do it. Snapshot, make sure you control where it's saved, and then it'll always be there when you got to go find it, okay? Let's see. I hope that answered that question. It's a great question. Let me see. Next question here is from I don't know how to say this. Res60. Working with a digitized 8mm movie, I want to edit some parts, but I don't want to save the edited parts and later combine some together. Is it possible to save these parts and keep them on the computer? Working with digitized 8mm movie. Yeah. So what you could do, here, let me show you this. This is something that a lot of people don't know. This might be a hidden feature for some of you that you may not have used. So let me show you this one. Let's bring in a bigger piece of footage. I'm going to go from this. Let me see. No, not this one. Let me go velocity effect. Let me just find a piece of video here somewhere. 1 second. I get so many files, so many projects. Okay, let me do this. Let me get over here. So let's say I have a piece of footage here in the upper left. All right. Now, let's say this is my long digitized or very long piece of footage. Let me get rid of the snapshot. So you're just looking at this one thing. This was from my Zach King effect. I think it's where I threw carrots against the wall and they exploded, right? So this might be a really long piece of footage, but I don't want to use the whole piece of footage. If I have a project saved with this in it, here's a trick you can do. Don't bring it into your timeline. Leave it right here and double left click on it. And what happens is it now appears over in your preview screen, but you have not brought it down into your timeline. Okay? It's right there right now. Now, let's say this is a scene. Let me scroll through. Oh, this was me tossing carrots, right? So I just want the portion of this footage where I'm whipping the carrots against the wall here. Okay, perfect. Let's find that. Find that spot. And if you look right now, there are these two little, in the upper right, there are these two little squiggly lines. Because I haven't brought this into my timeline, it's still up in my upper left, okay? It has not been brought down. I'm previewing it from my import file. I'm not previewing it from the timeline. So in the upper right, there are these two little squiggly lines right here. If I click this, it changes this timeline. And it now says, here's the new start point, right? I can also grab and click the end point and go, I just wanted this one little tiny piece of footage where I did that. That was it. So let me stop right there. Once I have done that, I have now changed this footage in the upper left. Even though it doesn't look any different, I've now reassigned this so that it only has everything in between those two points. And if I brought that down into my timeline, let me do that. What you should see is it doesn't bring the whole clip down. It just brings down the portion of me throwing the carrots. Do you guys know you could do that? How cool is that? That's the trick. Click on it before you bring it down. But the entire file is still saved into my project, and I can undo that later on. So if you had your whole digitized movie, you could pull out the pieces you want to use, and then in the upper, let's see, in the upper right, if I were to do the same thing. So let's click on that piece of footage. Right now I'm watching the thing from the timeline, right? Let's double left click on the footage in the upper left. So now what I'm seeing in my preview window is not the footage from the timeline. It is the footage. I'm going to double left click and I'm selecting the one up here. Then if I go back over, you can tell because see how the timeline here in the upper right shows those marks, that selection crop point. If I wanted to use a different portion of that, I can now reset these. I can drag them all the way to the whole thing or choose a different portion. Maybe there's something at the end, but the whole file is still here. It's still there. So that's the way to do that, my friend. Bring the whole file in, preset the portions you want to use, and just bring those portions down in. You could cut them up in your timeline, but what happens with that a lot of times is you just end up with this huge thing you bring it. Sometimes you just want to, you've already got a project that you're working on and you just need this one little snippet you want to add. You bring down this 10-minute file and you have to cut it up. It's a pain in the butt. Find the portion, select it, bring it down. That's my favorite way to do that. I hope that answered the question. Anybody learn anything new there? That's one that I found out much later on how to use that because I rarely used it. And one day I was looking at the squiggle lines. I'm like, what do those do? And I went up there and I'm like, hold on a second, I'll figure this out. And within a few minutes, I was like, oh, that's what it does. It allows me to pre-crop what I want to use and then bring the file down. Really super powerful. It's one of those tools that's in Filmora that you don't always know is there. And once you do, you go like, oh, cool, that makes life easier. Let me get to the next question. Or a pain. How to edit distorted meme. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm thinking distorted is easily like moving the face thing. I think we talked about that earlier. So review earlier, I kind of went through that. There's not a specific way to do it yet, but I'll let you know if there's a hack that I find out. Let me go back here. Let me make sure I'm hitting the right buttons. Or a pain. How to move. I already did one of your questions. Let me move on. Your mom. Is this my mom? How to make breakfast. Listen, Mom, if I have to teach you how to make breakfast, then we have a problem. You should already be making me breakfast, Mom. And don't bug me while I'm working, will you? I love you, Mom. Alpha Creator, could you make a teleport transaction? I think you mean effect or transition. Yeah, that's one that's been done a lot, like the Nightcrawler teleport effect. It's on my list, but it's way at the back. And the reason it's way at the back is I've seen so many people do it that I try to do things that are different. I try to do things that haven't been done to death. I think you could almost watch any video editing software teleportation effect and figure out how to do it in Filmora because all the technique is the same. So I'm always trying to figure out how to do something that you didn't think you could do in Filmora where, it's pretty simple to do a fast cut, use an overlay of smoke and fast cut yourself back in. That's a pretty straightforward one. It is on my list, and I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. It's just at the back of the list. The one that everyone's asking, I'm sure I'll get this question, that's on my list that I am going to get to sooner than later. The Flash is one, Quicksilver and Flash effect. But the Doctor Strange portal, to be able to do the teleport portal, that teleport, if that's the one that you're referring to, I probably should have read that first. The Doctor Strange teleport one is one that I'm working out. It is kind of advanced, and it does require some things that aren't available immediately in Filmora. So I'm trying to find cheap, effective, either free or really, really cheap things that you can overlay to really pull that off, make it look convincing, and not have to spend any money if possible, or if you do, a couple of bucks to put one little effect in there. So, but that's on my list. That one you will see sooner than later. Okay, let me go back over here. Next question we have is your dad. Well, you know what, Mom? Dad's here now. The whole family's here. Can you find a girlfriend for me? I can't. I wish I could. I could probably edit one in Filmora. Filmora Pro has that feature. How to make a girlfriend. That would make me go buy more Filmora Pro stuff and work on those videos more. I can make women with it. Sorry, you're on your own on that one. Gallon Gamer. This may be off topic about the stream, but I'm having trouble thinking of a good name for my YouTube channel. If so, tips. You listen, hey, I like that one right there. You've got Gamer in the title. It is off topic, but when you're trying to think of a channel names don't mean that much. Listen, if you want to be known as a gamer, then put Gamer in your title, or use your own name. But something gamer, gaming, that works. People care less about the name of your channel. Listen, Markiplier. What are we talking? Jacksepticeye? I don't even know what these mean. PewDiePie? It's just something that people will remember. They'll remember your content long before they'll remember your name. Content is the thing that will connect with people. That's why we spend so much time talking about Filmora and editing techniques, because every one of you out there, I want to see you improve your editing so that your videos are phenomenal and that they grab that viewer. The minute you publish something, the viewers see it and go, wow, this looks so cool. It's so amazing. I love it. It's so well edited. That's what's going to get people. Content that's really strong, that looks great, sounds great, has good flow and great story. That's the stuff we're trying to make here. Let's see. Presentation corner. Hey, Daniel, can we change our voice to a Parrot voice? Probably could. That pitch shift feature that I told you about that I showed earlier, you can also do that on a piece of footage right here. You can see it has sound. If you clicked on your footage down in here, and then in the upper left, you clicked on the audio, you have the ability to customize. You could change the EQ. You could change the EQ of that. Parrots tend to have a lot of mid-range. So if you were actually trying to sound like a parrot, like you could EQ it something like this, really boost the mids. And then the next thing I would do is I probably would, in the upper left, I'd try pitch shifting it, bring it up a few cents, and that'll make it sound a little higher pitched. That'd probably pull off a pretty good That'd pull off a good Parrot imitation, I bet. I'm sure you could do it. Just play around. There's enough stuff in Filmora that, yes, you could pull that off. Next question we have here by AG Craft. How to adjust the motion I add to the video. How to add animation to a photo to make it to a photo like moving it on someone's face. Thanks a lot. I've covered this stuff before. A lot of people are asking for the same thing, either motion tracking or keyframing. Two things that are currently not available in Filmora 9. If you wanted to put something over someone's face and as they moved, it moved with them, you'd have to cut that frame by frame and inch it over. Otherwise, it won't track with them. There's no motion tracking and there's no keyframing. For now, please put that request in under the Help tab of Filmora, new feature request. If we ask enough, maybe we'll see it. I will tell you guys, though, when we ask for a lot of these new features, remember, the more that Filmora does, the more system resources it's going to use up. If they bring motion tracking till Filmora 9, unless you're running a really powerful computer right now, if you're very close to the minimum requirements, good chance that your computer will not be able to run it with an advanced feature added on. So be careful what you ask for, okay? Because when we get these higher end things that are added on, it's going to require more from your computer. And one of the things that the guys at Filmora, guys and girls at Filmora are doing is they never wanted to make something that was going to overwhelm your computer or cost a lot of money. They wanted a nice, easy to learn, easy to use video editing software. And when people started asking for more options, that's why they started making Filmora Pro a completely different feel, something that was completely different. So, I think we will eventually see some of these things in Filmora 9, but there's going to be a cap. You're never going to see Filmora 9 turn into Adobe Premiere Pro. It was never designed to compete at that level. Just knowing that. Simple, easy, straightforward, intermediate, get the job done. That's why I love Filmora Pro. Nice and fast. Let me check out another question here. From the Aura Payne. I think I already answered one of yours. Let me jump ahead. From Gasson Karan. Hey, Daniel, I'm a beginner. How long can I rely on Filmora 9 to be a good video editing software? I mean, I'm learning, but Filmora 9... is it good for beginner through pro? Yeah, listen, hey, I'm going to be very honest with you here. I have an entire channel that's about to hit, 100,000 subscribers, and the vast majority of content on my channel was edited with Filmora 9. A lot of it from Filmora 8 before there was Filmora 9. The one thing that's great about Filmora, if you buy a lifetime individual license, that license applies to every update afterwards. So as Filmora gets better, and even in the time I have used it, Filmora has gotten so much better than it was even a few years ago. I'm spitting, I'm so excited. So keep in mind that it's a great intermediate software. You can do a lot with it. Just understand what it is that you want to do. If you're someone who's looking to make animation videos, then it's probably not the right fit for you. If you're someone who's going to do the kind of stuff that we all talk about on a daily basis, video editing, vlogging kind of stuff, effects to some degree, the kind of stuff that we see on YouTube every day, yeah, Filmora can totally get the job done and make great looking videos and not break the bank. It'll allow you, the thing I like about Filmora, the money you save using Filmora 9, when you spend $50, $60 on a lifetime license, the money you save as opposed to something like Adobe Premiere Pro that every year it's another $250. 2 years of Adobe is $500. You could buy a DSLR camera for that price. You could buy, lighting, and you could buy new tech. There's so many other things that you could buy along the way that might make your new microphones. You could buy so many other things. So I'm always trying to be budget conscious. Use a thing that makes sense for you. If you're using Filmora and you can honestly say, I know every feature of Filmora in and out, I know everything it can and can't do, and it still doesn't do what you need, then look into something else. Go to Filmora Pro, go to Premiere Pro, go to DaVinci, go to something else that might get it done. But you can absolutely do quality pro videos with Filmora 9 all day long. Because I do it. I do it for customers. I do it for my channel. Absolutely. Let's see. Next question. Good question. That was a really good question. From Juan Pablo Pardo Perez. Hey, Daniel, is there a way of rotating the erase slide to put it right to left instead of left to right? No, there isn't, but I showed how to do this not well. If you do let me go over here. I had a mask. I did the Indiana Jones technique, and I applied the erase transition from left to right. If you need it to do the other direction, right? So let's go up to the transitions. Let's find that erase slide. And let's make sure we know Let me put these out of order because they're the same piece of footage. It won't make sense in this order. So here's erase slide. Let me bring it down onto my footage, and you will see that when it gets to this point, that erase slide goes across. You see it go across to the top. So it only goes right to left. And if you click on it, it only goes right to left. There's no other option, okay? If you wanted to go left to right, what you would do is get rid of it, first of all. Let me just delete that. Take your footage, left click on each part, go to the upper left, click on video, click on the transform key, and you see these options here to rotate your footage. Let me go full screen. These will rotate your footage. That's back and forth, left and right, and this is upside down and right side up. Turn both of them upside down. Both pieces, flip them upside down, okay? And then go back to your transition erase slide and add that on. So now it's still going the same left to right, but your footage is upside down. So if you export this file quickly as a test, let's go to, where are we going to put this? Right on the desktop. And then you export this, right? So what you've done is you've applied this effect, but the two pieces were upside down. Then what you want to do, no, I don't want to, I already exported the stop. Stop, yes. Once is enough. Then what you want to do is go grab that piece of footage. I call this a bounce. When you send something out and bring it back in, I just bounced that footage. Let me get rid of everything here in my timeline. And now let me bring down that piece of footage that, like we said, all I did was I have a bounced piece of footage where it's upside down and it goes from left to right. Well, now let's left click on it down in our timeline, and up in the transition tab, let's flip it back right side up. And what you'll find now is that erase slide. I did it wrong. I did it backwards. I meant to put it the opposite way. Don't you hate when you fail right in front of people? If you rotate your image first, you got to put them in the other order, and it will spin it around so the effect will go the opposite way. That will give you the effect you want. Let me get this correctly. That's right to left. Let me see. Hold on a second. Is it because it's only? Let me find my fail. I will salvage this. Dun, 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 dun. Why did I fail? Okay. I've just learned something. Okay. What you have to do. Every time, this is why I tell you people, I learn along with you. Let me correct my fail. See, I fail too, people. Right now, if I have this upside down and I hit play, the effect is going left to right. If I flip it using this technique, the effect still goes left to right. What you need to do is left click on your footage down in your timeline. And in the upper right, grab this footage and see how it has this little handle? Flip it up here instead. That's how. You have to flip it up top. See, I learned things about Filmora. I figured out how to do something and then I forget. If you flip it up here as opposed to using this other feature up here, that won't do it. Transform won't do it. You have to flip it up here, because if you flip it up here, now the effect will come from right to left. See that? Now it'll go from right to left. And that we can then, let me just double check. Let me make sure that works. Yes. See, now I can do the transform. So now if I did, because it was still upside down, right? Because you go, that was great. It was right to left. But now I can click the transform button to flip it so it's this way. But I had to rotate it up in the preview window first. Now it's right side up and the effect goes from right to left. Did you see that erase slide come in from the right instead of the left? Whew. Hey, you're testing me today. You tested me. So that's how you do it, okay? So make sure you rotate it up in the preview window and then transform it and flip it so that it's right side up, and then the erase slide will move in the opposite direction. Sorry, that was a mouthful. Did that work? Did you get it? Yes, we made it happen. Oh my gosh, that was like I think we deserve a standing ovation for that one. So thank you. Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate that. We went from the disappointment. I know, like Daniel can't do anything, and it's like he gets it right finally. Oh, thank you. So, all right, we got that. We got it. That's how you do it. I'm sorry that took an extra step to find it for you, but we found it. You know, that's one of the things I tell you guys all the time. Like, I tell you guys, I'm not an expert. I find out by trying things and see what works. And then I try to remember and I've done this one before, because I haven't done it in so long. I forgot the steps that I found out to make it work. So, you know, don't be afraid to get in there yourself and test things out and see what you can do to step the game up and think outside the box. Let's get to another question here. I want to move quickly as I can. Okay, questions say... oh, that was a great question, Juan, by the way. Thank you for that. Mihan Bola says, I have no questions. Well, I have no answers. There are no answers. Let's move ahead here. The next one is from Ranjan Chakrabarti. How to make it, let's say, more than 3 clones in a video and make them touch each other. That's really tricky. You can do it by masking. So if you have several tracks, you can keep, I've showed how to do this in a lot of videos. I won't break it down too much today. You can keep applying map. I guess I have to, because people ask me about this cloning thing. To make it look like they're actually physically touching, that overlap is really tricky. The best, that's something that you'd need intelligent masking and keyframing for. In Filmora 9, if you're going to add masks to something, we've talked about this before, left click on your footage and your timeline. In the upper left, you want to click on effects, and down under the utility tab, bring a mask down, right? And you can mask out that footage. And if you left click on it again, down in the video effects, right here is where you control that mask. So you can do things like, all right, I want to, you know, control where it's placed on here. You can shrink it down. So if this was a person, you might go, oh, I just want to get this one person. They're right in the middle. Today our person is carrots. But you can then go, okay, that's the mask. That's the person masked off. Maybe you put a little feather on it so it's not a harsh transition, right? And then what you do is you left click on that piece of footage down in your timeline and move that person into the screen. Go, okay, well, the person is carrots, but we'll move them in the left, right? And then you go, okay, but I got another person that I need to have down here as well, right? And you know, I'm going to just copy this right here, copy, and let's put it into another track. Let's add another video track and select it, and let me paste another one here. Okay, so here's another person, right? So then this one also has a mask, and maybe we move it over here. And that's all you do is you have all these different tracks that you're masking the person off. And you can control the size of each. You can control the position of each by clicking on them either in your timeline or in the upper right and moving them around. So I'm doing this with images of carrots, but if you have several tracks with images of a person in it, you just keep masking each track and moving that person into a different location and arrange them around your screen. Getting big overlap and interaction is something that's really tricky. It's very advanced, and it's probably better served by something that has intelligent masking and keyframing in it, like an Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects. But that's a simple way to do it. I did that in my... did you guys see the audio effects one where I pretended I was Freddie Mercury? I did all the pitch shifting and stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll just show you what I was talking about. I did that really quickly in... whenever you want to find something, I gotta remember this. Whenever you want to find something, use this little search engine bar right up here on my channel. And plug in things like audio effects. It's a really easy way to pull up if I've done anything. There it is right there, right? It's an easy way to search my channel. I did this. Here we go. Free commercials, guys. I'm getting free commercials. I'm surprised this isn't a Filmora commercial. Every time I pull up a video on my channel, it's a Filmora commercial. I'm surprised I get anything other than that. But let me pull this up. So I did this video here. Nice dork face. And I pretended to be Freddie Mercury. That's all I did here. I put 3 of myself, and they're just very poorly done masks of me singing. I was imitating the beginning of a Queen video. And that's all it was, is I just took the same thing and I masked it and moved it around, and that's how you can do it. That's a simple way, okay? 7:30 p.m. in Switzerland. Hey, it's barely past dinner time there in Switzerland. Let me see. Let me take another look at what I have for questions here. I'm really trying to get through as many as I can. Questions. Next question I have here is from Black Panda. I made a video and published it in my channel, Black Panda, but the editing is not so fine. Can you watch my video? No, I love you guys. Listen, I get requests probably 200 to 300 an hour to come watch your videos. Every now and then I'll catch one if we're doing a contest, but I love you, but I don't have the time to watch everybody's videos. I do have a channel memberships program. If you want to work with me more specifically, that's why I have the channel memberships. Click the join button underneath this video, and that's where we have the private groups where we talk about content, and I look at people's content, and I help them improve it. That's what the memberships is for. $4.99 a month. It's a killer deal, and it allows you to post videos like that in our Facebook group and talk about, like, what can I do to make this better? And that's where I do that with my paid group. That's when I call it a paid group. It's like the price of a good cup of coffee a month. It's pretty affordable. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, really having me look at your content, join the group. That's what the group's there for, helping you make better content and grow your channel. Really quickly here, let me take a look over here. We're getting close. PC invert. Hey, Daniel, thanks for the tutorials. I appreciate it. After I edit my videos, I have trouble exporting. What might be the problem? The one thing I tell everybody, I have a video on my channel about exporting content. Make sure when you export, a lot of people like to export right to YouTube. The problem with going up to YouTube, especially if you have an older computer or not the greatest internet in the world, Filmora is trying to export your video, meaning it's using up your system resources. And I'm going to show you a trick. I want to make sure I get to this one. Remind me. But it's also using your internet connection to try to upload it at the same time. So you're using your processor speed and your GPU to do multiple tasks. This is why I tell people, guys, export your project locally, right? Because if you just send it to your computer, it'll export easily. You can look at it, make sure it looks good. You'll have a copy of it, then upload it to YouTube using YouTube's upload features, okay? Because this way you have a chance to look at your footage, make sure it looks right, and you're not straining your system to do multiple tasks all at once. I never upload directly to YouTube, never. Always export locally, have a copy of my own, go through it, make sure it looks right, make sure the quality's right, and then I upload it. That way, my computer's just uploading a file. It's not trying to run Filmora, export and edit and run all the effects, and at the same time send it up to YouTube. That's where a lot of people run into trouble. Jedi Copper, welcome to the memberships group. Make sure you check out. We have there's a bunch of links that you'll now find that are accessible from my community tab. One of them will show you how to join our channel memberships group. It should also be included in the package. When you join, you'll see the membership perks. There's a link to join our Facebook group. Do that first right away. That's the best way to get right into what we're doing here. It's a great group. I appreciate you joining us, my friend. But yeah, export locally. And I want to show you guys a trick here that I want to make sure you all know how to do. If you're a PC user, I'm a PC guy. If you're a PC user and you are running Filmora, I want you guys to know this trick. Down here in your search bar of your Windows, right? Click on Task Manager, all right? Type in Task Manager. Task Manager will open up, and it looks like this. Let me see if I can center this and get it easier for you to see. Can you see this? Right here, it's telling me my CPU usage, how much my processor's running, how much of my memory's being used up from what I'm doing, how much of my disk space, my networking capabilities, and how much of my graphics card is being eaten up by what I'm doing. Use your task manager. If any of you guys are having trouble with Filmora not running properly, do this, run and edit. Go back to your beginning and run and edit. And then all you have to do is, while you're running that edit, is just look up and you'll see what's getting used. Let me do that again. I got such a short piece of footage here, it's barely doing it. But you can see what the stresses that are getting used. Even when I'm running a project, I might use 20-25% of my GPU PU as I'm running a file. That particular one ran about 25. This is an interesting thing that you should know. Let's do this one more time. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click here. Let me make sure I can play this. Let me go all the way back, play it, run your task manager. See how up here I'm running about 25% of my GPU? Watch what happens when I render this file. I'm just going to render it, right? I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to hit play. I'm going to open this up. Now I'm running 8%, 7%. Make sure you understand how Filmora works. Make sure you understand how your computer works. I don't run big, heavy graphics cards because rendering my project takes the GPU load down to nothing. Understand how to use your task manager so that if Filmora is running rough for you, open up your task manager, and while you're running your edit, if you've got an edit that seems to be crashing, run it, open the task manager, and look if anything's spiking. If you're using up 90, 100% of your CPU, 90, 100% of your RAM, 90 or 100% of your GPU, you're overtaxing your system, and it will tell you what you need to upgrade to have Filmora run smoother. Simple as that. I love this technique. I always make sure that when I'm running my projects that I don't use much more than 20-30% of anything, even unrendered, so that I know that my system is well equipped to run projects. The more effects you add on, the more layers you add on, the more system resources get eaten up. So if you are having trouble with Filmora, crashing, lagging, giving you issues, check first with your task manager to see how it's taxing your system and where you might want to spend a little money to upgrade pieces and parts. All right? Listen, I'm going to leave you with that piece of advice. I thank you for all your questions. Thank you for hanging out in the chat today. Thank you guys, you channel members. Make sure you check out the perks. Come join our Filmora group. You guys are just the best. I love you guys so much. So we'll be doing this again soon. I'm going to try to start hitting these once every week and a half. So I'll be doing some catch up in the next one we do. But if you have any questions beyond this, leave them on the replay down below, and I will get to them. If I didn't get to your question here, ask it right in the comments section when this one plays again, and I will answer it down there, okay? Or anywhere on the platform. You can ask any question on any video. Doesn't matter to me. You guys are the best. I love you so much. Thank you for hanging out, and I will